Hi, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Nicole Mageski, Secretary of the Delaware Department of Transportation. Thank you all for joining us here today as we discuss new legislation aimed to address the crisis that we are seeing on our roadways. Last year, 165 individuals were killed on our roads, which tied the deadliest year that we've had on record, which was set in 1988. This is not just a one-year anomaly. The number of roadway fatalities and serious injury crashes continues to increase each and every year, not just here in Delaware, but nationally as well. And as of last night, 32 individuals have been killed in the first 3 months of this year. We're here today at the Delaware Highway Memorial Garden. We chose this location for today's event as a reminder of the lives that we've lost. DelDOT opened the Memorial Garden in 2007 to create a safe and peaceful place for families and friends to be able to pay tribute to their loved ones who've been tragically killed while traveling on our roads. There are currently 867 bricks engraved with names on the Memorial Garden, each one of them a life that has been cut too short. Our collective goal is to eliminate the need for any future names to be placed in this garden. As the Department of Transportation, safety is our top priority. The safety of the traveling public, regardless of the mode of transportation that you are using, and the safety of our workforce that is out on the roads every single day. Whether it is through engineering, enforcement, education, or strengthening our safety laws, we have a responsibility to do everything that we can to save lives, and it takes all of us. We are thankful for the partnerships that we have, especially with the Department of Safety and Homeland Security and Secretary McQueen, with Colonel Zebley and the Delaware State Police and all of our law enforcement agencies throughout the state, the Office of Highway Safety, and all of our advocates. And to our DelDOT family that is here, led by Peter Haig and Scott Nider, who are hiding in the back there, they're working on this every single day. Thank you for everything that you do. I am so grateful to the governor and to the members of the General Assembly for their support and their commitment. We are pleased to announce the introduction of the following pieces of safety legislation for this session. Expanding the charge of reckless driving to include speeding over 90 miles per hour on any road. Establishing an open container law, prohibiting open alcohol containers in the passenger areas of vehicles while driving. A graduated motorcycle helmet law, requiring that new riders wear a helmet in their first 2 years of their endorsement. Expanding the move over law to include disabled passenger vehicles on the side of the road. Strengthening our child safety seat requirements to add more specific requirements for young children, and enhancing lighting on our snow removal equipment to make our trucks and crews more visible to the public. Again, thank you to the members of the General Assembly for their continued support. And now it's my honor to introduce Governor Gov Carney.
Thank you very much, Secretary Mageski, and good morning. What a really beautiful place. I remember well being here in 2007 when this space was dedicated, and thinking to myself how wonderful a place it was for the families of those who tragically lost their lives on our highways and byways up and down our state, just a short way from one of the most heavily traveled roads in our state. And the state has an obligation to those families. Families can come and come to us and request a brick for their loved one that's passed away whenever that happened. The problem is there are too many bricks. And the number of bricks added has increased unacceptably over the last several years. Secretary Mageski has been on me for months to come up with a package, working with both sides of the General Assembly, the Senate and the House, both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, coming together to follow through on our number one responsibility as elected officials, and that is to provide for the safety of the people that we work for and represent. And it's so great to see the number of legislators who are here. We have a package of bills. We also have a couple bills that we're still working on. I think Ed Osinski is here and has an important piece of legislation that will address speed in communities across our state. I want to thank all the legislators, again, both sides of the aisle. I want to thank the folks from DelDOT and the work that you do every day, our Delaware State Police and local police officers, Secretary McQueen, Colonel Zebley. I don't see Colonel Zebley, but her group is behind us with the motorcyclists. This is a really, really important moment. There are lots of reasons for these crashes. They affect a lot of people: pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, automobile drivers. Just last night, if you haven't seen the news, we had a fatal on Kirkwood Highway where the driver went over the midline there and crashed head-on into one of our Newcastle County police officers. It's not known. I said to Secretary McQueen, the report that I saw said they didn't know whether speed was involved, and Secretary McQueen said, I can tell you that speed was involved with the nature of that crash. Speed is involved in a lot of these crashes. We know that. Driving impaired is involved in a lot of these crashes. Pedestrians not following appropriate safety measures along the highways is part of that. Let's be clear, there's no one solution, and that's why this package is so important, because we're addressing it at every level. No DelDOT employee, no employee of our Department of Safety and Homeland Security should go to work every day with their life at risk. And some of the legislation that we've introduced today and have support in the General Assembly will address that. I'm so proud of Secretary Mageski for pushing. One of the more challenging pieces of legislation that we've had over the years is safety with those who ride motorcycles on our streets. And Danny Short, who is a motorcycle rider himself, has agreed to co-sponsor the legislation to take a step forward in addressing that question, and we're thankful for him and Secretary Mageski for her persistence. And with that, turn it back over to you, and turn it back over to Secretary.
Thank you so much, Governor. Now it's my pleasure to welcome Secretary McQueen up from Safety and Homeland Security.
Good morning. Again, thank you all for being here. Governor Carney, Secretary Mageski, and all of our distinguished guests, members of the General Assembly. Again, you've heard Secretary Mageski talk about the numbers, and unfortunately, as the governor pointed out, we added to that number last night. And over the last couple of years, while we've experienced challenges, the thoughts here were to, come up with some ideas on how we can make that and make everyone safer. Unfortunately, these numbers represent Delaware citizens who are no longer with us, and families across our state who are impacted by their loss. Tragically, these fatalities have occurred in all 3 counties. The trend is sobering, but more sobering is these fatalities involve members of our community and have a long-lasting impact on the state of Delaware. Today, we are collectively making you aware of the deadly trend impacting our communities and how we plan to reduce the number of fatalities and severe injuries across our roadways. While we all remain committed to increasing enforcement, education, and engineering solutions, it is our hope that the additional resources, proposed legislation, and safety measures will also have an impact on the safety of our roadways. The Delaware State Police is responsible for patrolling approximately 13,500 lane miles of roadway in our state. By implementing a statewide traffic education and enforcement unit dedicated to full-time traffic enforcement in partnership with the Department of Transportation, the Delaware State Police will be better equipped to increase the efforts toward public safety upon our roadways and prevent these senseless tragedies. It is also important to recognize that we can only be successful if we have the cooperation and support of the motoring public. Safety is our #1 priority. Everyone has a role to play in ensuring that everyone has equal access to safe roadways. In addition to the safety measures presented today, there are steps that every motorist, pedestrian, or roadway user can take to combat these tragic fatalities. Slow down, wear your seatbelts, walk and drive sober, avoid distractions when driving or walking, and having your children secured in an appropriate car seat. I encourage all parents and caregivers to make an appointment with the Office of Highway Safety to have your car seat checked. I will conclude my comments by thanking everyone for joining us today. It's incumbent upon all of us to collaborate and strive toward our shared goal of security of Delaware roadways. Stay safe, and thank you.
So now I'd like to invite some members of the General Assembly to come up to talk specifically about some of the legislation that we discussed today. Up first, I'd like to invite Senator Hoffner to come up. She and Representative Cook are going to be co-sponsoring the reckless driving enforcement legislation. Senator?
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming to the 14th District. This is really near and dear to my heart. I drive up and down Route 1 and 13, and it's every day. Every single morning, I see an accident. I watch people cutting in and out of lanes, driving by me like I'm standing still. I know many of you travel up and down Route 1 and 13, and you witness these accidents. Just yesterday, many of us in the General Assembly were late to perform our duties because there was an accident on Route 1. There's so much potential for loss when somebody is driving at high speed rates. When somebody is driving 65 miles an hour, our cars are made to protect us with seatbelts, airbags. But when you start to drive 90 miles an hour, you are guaranteed to have a fatality during an accident. So reckless driving is now going to be a criminal offense. It's nothing new. We have reckless driving on the books, but now driving 90 miles an hour will be an offense. While driving at excessive speeds could constitute reckless driving under current law, the additional 90 miles an hour and over will make it clear to the public such speeds are unsafe and subject to additional consequences beyond a speeding ticket. I already went over due to the physics of driving 90 miles an hour, and we just need to let people understand that you're endangering my life. You have no regard for my life, my constituents' lives, and we need them to slow down. Welcome, Representative Cook. I'm happy to sponsor this bill with Representative Cook, and I hope that I have everyone's support. Just looking at everyone here, that you're looking for the safety of all Delawareans in our area. And with the upcoming tourist season coming, I really want to make it a goal to make sure everyone is safe on our highway. So let's slow down and make sure everyone gets home to our loved ones. Thank you for coming out this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry I'm a little late. Got a lot of things going on. But, I was a police officer for 30 years. Investigated a lot of accidents. But also, I felt for the victims of these accidents, which is very, very important, especially our children. But speeding is a problem, not only in the United States, but right here in Delaware. And I travel Route 1 all the time. They're going past 90 miles an hour, no doubt about it. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So we need this bill. We have to be held responsible. But also, these people speeding need to be held responsible because it's destroying our highways, it's destroying lives, and it's time for us to put our foot down. When I say us, I mean everyone, not just legislators, not just the governor. Everybody needs to get involved with this speeding that's going on, and also in our neighborhoods. I got more requests for speed bumps than ever before because of speeders. And I'm trying to do the best to help our constituents battle this problem. So I want to thank everybody here. I want to thank you, Senator. And I want to thank you also, Secretary Mageski. I've worked with her for years. I just want to say this is the time we really need to put our foot down. And thank to all of y'all and my constituents. Thank you.
All right, now I would like to invite Senator Gay and Representative Griffith to come up to talk about the child safety legislation.
All right. I'm going to squint, but I want you to see how excited I am because I smile with my eyes. I just want to thank, and Representative Griffith and I want to thank, and she'll speak in a minute, just the great teamwork that brought this child safety restraint bill to the floor. And so I want to recognize the Office of Highway Safety Child Passenger Safety Team, or a round of applause for them. They are day in, wave, thank you. And if you have a car seat in your car, I bet you they'll check it for you before you leave. They do this work every day, and I personally had the opportunity to work with them last summer at car seat clinics. They checked my car seats. They helped me understand how I could keep my kids safer. And I just want to make sure that people know that they are a resource that we need to leverage, because it's not just the laws that are going to protect our kids, it's action, and they're doing their action every day. I also want to thank Nemours for their contribution. They are working to ensure that we update these laws, which are really out of date. And so the last thing I really want to focus on is just to pull up what Secretary Mageski said, that we can do better. And that's what this bill is about. It's about doing better. And in order to do better with child safety restraints, we need to promote education. And so I'm really proud that this bill removes a first offense and instead replaces it with an obligation that our law enforcement officers will work to get a referral to our team members who are here to help. And so I'm just really pleased with how we've approached this bill. I'm pleased with the cooperation and collaboration, grateful to the governor for including it in this very important package, and I really look forward to bringing it to the floor.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you, Governor Carney. Thank you, Secretary McQueen, Secretary Mageski, my colleague, Senator Gay, and everybody who's standing here. You're here because you care about people's lives and you know that we can do better, and you're here to get the word out that we will do better. I see my good friend Sean Rowe, and I'm happy that she's here because I know she's been an advocate for a lot of the community with disabled children and making sure that child safety restraints are good for every child in Delaware, regardless of ability or need. You know, we all remember stories. We share stories of being 5 years old, 6 years old, hanging out in the back, you know, of the station wagon with the window rolled down, bouncing around with like 13 kids back there, you know, and everyone piled in without a seatbelt. But as Governor Carney mentioned, look at the bricks. We've learned a lot since those times about what works and what doesn't work, what's safe and what's not safe. To my left, there's a little statue of a little boy holding a lamb. And I think that must belong to a family member who's lost a child. And to our officers who have to give those notifications when somebody dies in a car crash, I don't know how you do it, because that must be one of the toughest aspects of your job. To go to a home and say to a family member who just 5 minutes ago might have seen their loved one or talked with them or planned to have dinner with them the next day that they're no longer in their lives. And that's happening with children. And it's happening because, as Senator Gay mentioned, the education piece that's so important, that we have the resources. We have them here. We have talent and skill. We just need to make sure that we're connecting that talent and skill with our public. And today's messaging will help with that. If anybody ever needs a car seat, and I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I bet Senator Gay will help me, call us. Yes. We will get you in touch with people who can get you those resources. If you can't afford one, we'll find somebody who can get that for you, because we have the skill, we have the talent, we have the resources, and we can save lives. And we have learned so much. I credit Nemours and the safety team because of the education pieces that you continually work on to make sure we are doing better. We need to continually look at this every 5 years to see what can we do to make our people safer. I'm thrilled with the package of bills that's going to be completing this with all of them together. I think will make a great difference in Delaware. And thank you, Secretary Mageski, for making this a true priority for our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I'd like to ask Representative Longhurst and Representative Dukes to come up to talk about the open container law.
Thank you, Governor, Secretary Mageski, Secretary McQueen, and to all of DelDOT and Office of Highway Safety. Thank you for your support of this legislation. I think one of the greatest responsibilities of our 62 legislators in Dover is to provide and promote public safety. It's important that people feel safe, but it's important that people are safe. There's a lot of things that we are responsible for in our jobs, but promoting public safety, I think, is really at the top. Unfortunately, Delaware is one of 5 states that does not have an open container restriction law. And what this bill does, what it says is that we are against anyone having an open container of alcohol in a vehicle. This closes a loophole that really is against federal regulations, and it helps us stand up and I really believe do the right thing. We're all here today, and all of these bills that are being presented are really being presented because of pain, because of a loss of life. And it's all to promote and to protect our citizens of this great state of Delaware. So I would ask your support. Thank you, Representative Longhurst, for her support. And the purpose is to make our roadways so much safer and to make our people feel safe. Thank you.
I'm a little bit shorter. We wore glasses together because we wanted to look good while we were up here. First of all, I want to thank Governor Carney for always continuing to push forward public safety on our roads, and Secretary McQueen, you do an awesome job. And Secretary Mageski always has a responsibility of the entire state on the roads. So I guess the only thing that I didn't plan on speaking, but the one thing that I'm getting out of this is that years ago, we didn't have car seats like Representative Griffith said. Our public safety really wasn't at the top priority, but as we have evolved and we've seen things that happen on the roads and the speeding and what's going on, you know, Representative Dukes, who, come up here for a second. Representative Dukes actually introduced this bill a few years ago, and it didn't make it. And what I see now, when the governor's office came and said we have to do this open container law, it was obvious that we had done this before, and now we know we need to get this done, and we keep evolving, and we need to strengthen our roads so that everybody's safe. But I want to thank Representative Dukes for thinking about this years ago, but now we're going to get it done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask Senator Lockman to come up to talk about the expanded move-over legislation.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you. As we all have, I want to just open by thanking Governor Carney for bringing us together and helping us to identify this wonderful package of opportunities to make our roadways safer, and your team, particularly Secretary Mageski, Secretary McQueen, Assistant Secretary Hastings. Thank you so much. I am very proud to be part of this legislative team of folks committed to our public safety on our roadways as well. In particular, I will shout out Representative Carson and Senator Hansen, with whom I'm leading on this bill. Myself, I'm a relatively new driver. Some of you know that about me. I've only been driving for 5 years. And one of the things that inhibited me from becoming a driver was the strong sense of the grave responsibility of being on the road and operating a motor vehicle. My confidence has grown, lucky for those of you on the road with me, but I think my cautious nature hasn't really diminished. And, you know, I think that's what this bill is about, trying to encourage us to remember that grave responsibility of driving on our highways, particularly roadways like Route 1. In 2022, 13 people were killed in Delaware while in or near vehicles stopped on the side of the road. And what this piece of legislation is going to do is require drivers to change lanes or significantly reduce their speed while approaching any stationary vehicle on the shoulder in the roadway, which might be displaying warning signals, vehicle hazard warnings, road flares, traffic cones, caution signs, or non-vehicular warning signs. And currently, the statute only applies to emergency vehicles or tow trucks. So this would mean you have to move over for anyone at any time. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to get somewhere. And I think our goal of those of us here today is to make sure that we're all able to actually do that all Delawareans have a right to arrive alive at their destination. And that takes responsible, mindful driving. And so this bill makes one aspect of responsible, mindful driving an enforceable statutory obligation. And I believe that can help us to reorient ourselves as drivers to the gravity and privilege of driving on our roadways. As will this whole package, and I am very honored to be a part of that. So thank you, and I believe I'm handing it back To you.
Thank you so much. I do want to recognize a few of the legislators that could not be here today, but who are sponsoring legislation. As Senator Lockman just said, Representative Carson and Senator Hansen will also be co-sponsoring the expanded move over law. We want to thank the President Pro Tem Sokola, Representative Lynn, and Representative Short for sponsoring the graduated motorcycle helmet legislation. Senators Mansavinos and Carson for sponsoring our snowplow safety legislation. And then, as the governor mentioned, Representative Osinski for his work on some of the enforcement legislation as well. So with that, I just want to thank you all again so much for being here, for your commitment to the members of the General Assembly, to the governor, and I will turn it over to you for some closing remarks, sir.
The 6 years that I served Delaware in the U.S. House of Representatives, I was reminded almost every day of how special it is to serve as an elected official in our state. And the reason is that when we see a problem and we have solutions to that problem, that we have no problem working together to address whatever the issue might be. And this is a really, really serious issue. People's lives are at stake. It's hard to imagine the responsibility that our law enforcement officers have to provide notice that somebody has lost a child. I just can't imagine, Representative Griffiths, what that might be like as you shared with all of us. And that's what this is all about. And I'm just really happy that Secretary Mageski has continued her persistence. All the folks that we have that work every day on our highways and byways at DelDOT, those of you who work for vehicle safety all the time, our Delaware State Police crew over here, and local police across our state. Thank you very much for coming today, and we look forward to working to get this package passed in the General Assembly.